This is Umperfy 1918, and yep, here we are, another Friday. I'm currently still moving into my new house in Glencoe. Oh my gosh, it's busy, busy, busy. Trip after trip after trip. But that's alright. But we are also in the middle of Haunukka 2018, and for those that celebrate, happy Hanukkah. For those that celebrate Christmas, and you know, those that are Christians and other folks that don't quite understand what Hanukkah is all about, well, here's the deal. Hanukkah is not in the Old Testament. It is prophesied about it, but it is not in the Old Testament. And what I mean by that is, I can't remember if it's in the book of Daniel or the book of Isaiah. It talks about, I think it's like 3,200 or 3,600 days and desecration of the temple and so on and so forth. I'll have to look it up for you at some point. But here's the thing. At about 100 and some years before Jesus, as you call him, or Yeshua, before he came to this earth 2,000 years ago to do what he had to do, there's this thing called the Maccabees. Well, the Maccabees were a family, and well, this Caesar, who called himself God, wanted to destroy all the Jews and the Jewish religion and their traditions. He wanted to squash them out, annihilate them, or assimilate them into the culture. Well, he ended up killing the high priest, and not only that, but he also desecrated the temple. By doing what, you ask? Well, he desecrated the temple by sacrificing a pig and putting up Zeus in the temple. And needless to say, some folks, some of the Jews did assimilate. Or should I say Hebrews, Israelites. They assimilated, and there are a few that stood up and said, no, we will not. And I'll tell you what, it was a few years that they had struggled. And we're talking thousands upon thousands of lives were slaughtered. If I remember right, somebody was saying upwards of to the tune of 80,000 Jews / Hebrews or Israelites perished over those few years. Well, one of the priests, he was a Maccabee, which was their last name. He got slaughtered. He got killed because he would not back down and follow the Torah. Well, needless to say, his 5 sons stood up and they fought and fought and fought. And God had provided and prevailed with them. And it was a small little tiny group that fought against a big, huge, gigantic army. When you say, well, who can be against me with my God behind me? Well, I'll tell you what, they were proving it. Because they obviously read about King David. They read about Abraham. They read about Isaac, Jacob. They read about Samson. They read about all those characters in the Bible. They obviously knew who their God was. The God of the living, the God of the just, God of the holy. I'm saying this to tell you this. Without them standing up and without those lives that were lost, you cannot, and I repeat, you cannot have Christmas. You cannot have Yeshua dying on the cross. You cannot have anything, because if he would have got his way and would have been able to annihilate or assimilate all the Hebrews or Israelites or Jews, we would not have the Torah. We would not have the Bible. We would not have salvation, because it would have been stomped out of history. So, that being said, Christians, learn your history. Now, I'll tell you where you can find this story. It's in the book of Maccabees. Go figure, right? But you're like, well, but it's not my King James Version. You're right. There is a couple of the Catholic Bibles that do have the Maccabees in there, because it's in the Apocrypha. And there is an older King James Version. I think the 1611 might have it in there. But I'll tell you what, when you read about it and you understand that Jesus himself celebrated Hanukkah, and that's in the New Testament. And so that means a whole new world when he says, I am the light of the world. Well, when they rededicated the temple, supposedly there was only 1 day's worth of oil left. Now, do I know this is 100% fact? No, but it is in the in some of the Jewish writings. But do I know for a fact it's real? I don't know about this portion of it, but I'm going to tell it anyways. According to Jewish tradition and culture, there's 8 days that takes for rededication of new oil. Well, in order for them to get the new oil, that's what they had to do. And they only had 1 day's worth of supply of oil to last all 8 days. Well, the miracle is that the oil lasted all 8 days, and that's one of the reasons why they celebrate Hanukkah. But I celebrate Hanukkah not only because it's an extra biblical holiday, but because without their sacrifice, you and I would not have the freedoms we enjoy in Yeshua. And what I mean by that is, despite no matter how many mistakes we make, I'm telling you, I am far from perfect. But I'll tell you what, the more you understand, the more you realize, the more I study, the more I realize the less I know. And how great our God really is. And how merciful he really is. And you say, well, how could he let so many of these people die, or how many of those people die, and women and children and things of that nature? Well, the problem is it's not him, it's us. We are the ones that choose. You say, well, what about the land of Canaan when the Jews ended up taking over? Well, you mean the Israelites, but that's beside the point. The Israelites, when they took it over, Abba Father gave them an extra 40 years with the boys sitting outside waiting to come in. He even told Abraham, he says, hey, I'm giving these guys 400 years extra, or 400 years. Their cup is not full of sin yet. But when judgment comes, it's got to come. And without judgment and punishment, there can be no justice for the sins. And that's why Yeshua had to die on that cross. That's why he had to pay for our sins. You say, well, I don't believe in any of that stuff. I don't believe in the Bible. Well, you know what? That's okay. You have the right to believe whatever you want to believe. And for whatever reason you're watching my channel, like and subscribe. And I want to say thank you for all the new subscribers that I just got. And I just want to say thank you to all the future subscribers. And it's okay. If you don't believe, you don't believe. But if you do believe, all the more power to you. You have the freedom and the free will to do as you choose. Just like he gave the Israelites the choice on Mount Sinai. You choose life or you choose death. Here's what I got. Choose life, I can give you more abundantly. You choose death, well, guess what? You got curses coming upon you. And as stubborn and stiff-necked people we are. But anyways, it's a little, well, 10-minute video for you guys. But 745, 1918 out.